I'm gonna come.
So you ready? Let's do this. Craig, you here? Hello.
Hello.
What's up, sir?
What's going on, man? I was just told come to your stream. What's up?
Oh, we were talking about Melonie Mac.
Okay, cool. What do you want to know? I just know her from what we talked about today on the show. Seems like a really, really fun person.
Yeah, you don't know that she's absolutely batshit crazy, dude. You don't know. Do you know her backstory?
Please tell me more.
Well, first off, she started off with her own YouTube channel.
Which... Gaming, yeah. I met her like a decade ago.
Oh, really? And that essentially dried up. Then she went on to do GameStop. That dried up, she essentially got canceled from that. Then she went into like the super
canceled for what?
I don't even remember what the hell essentially she said that she got canceled for. It's not even really relevant, to be quite honest with you. But she went into the super right-wing Bible thumping, and it's been documented before with like evidence with receipts that she's homophobic, transphobic, the whole nine. Like that's her thing. That's her grift. She's like the quartering, maybe even on steroids in some ways.
Well, her and Jeremy are buddies.
Yeah.
Well, so what'd you want me on for? You just want to tell me that?
People said to just that. No. People said to just invite you on, or like you wanted to come on. That's what I thought.
Oh no. I was just told to. I said, Rich, you should really get on Rich's channel or Rich's stream. He's talking about you or something. It's like, okay, cool. So yeah, I don't know. All I can go off is what I So Melonie Mac and DSP have very similar trajectories, right? I met them both, a decade ago, and outside of, I've watched Melonie stuff from afar. I think she's pretty based. I haven't heard any of the stuff about, you said the homophobic stuff, the transphobic stuff. And everything that in all conversations I've had with her, it's pretty much been like, hey, you do you, and I'll do me, as long as it doesn't, infringe on what I'm doing, then that's cool. So, and for me, that's I'm okay with that, is if that's how somebody's going to live their life, as long as you're not telling.
That was really, it was just strange to me because you went and did very in-depth research with DSP, which was awesome. And from what I've seen more with Melonie Mac, it was very, very surface level.
Oh yeah, it was not meant to be an interview at all. Like it was just, she was going to come on and host, and we've bring her on as like a co-host, and we do that with you, we do it with everybody, and it's not like you're going to go in and now I will say this, after the show, I was like, hey, I'd love to have you on again and do like an interview, right? And that's like, it would be like a kind of a one-on-one, or like a me and Adam type thing. So, and she said she's totally open to that. So in an instance like that, yeah, I would totally do more research on it, right? It's funny because I actually have a list that I've been writing down of people like that I'd like to have on the show. Would you like to hear people that I'd like to interview?
Sure, absolutely.
Sure. Colin Moriarty.
I'm cool with Colin. He's a great dude.
The Shermanator from American Pie.
Really?
I love him.
Absolutely. I would like to do a one-on-one with Adam Krigler, my co-host.
Oh, that would be interesting.
I think there's a lot there. I would like to interview someone from the iCarly cast. Mike Myers or Dana Carvey. I would like to interview somebody from the Not Another Teen Movie cast. Steve-O, Poopies from Jackass, Fred Savage, Rob Schneider, Zach Galifianakis, Biff from Back to the Future, Bert Kreischer, the comedian who has the movie coming out, The Machine. Timing may be right on that. Owen Wilson, local Dallas boy. Someone from Street Fighter 6, someone from Diablo 4. I want to interview the knees over toes guy. Do you know who the knees over toes guy is?
That I don't know.
Yeah, he's a dude who does a lot of like knee health. Like he does a lot of athletic stuff with knee health. But like I don't know if you can see any correlation between those folks, because there's like pretty much zero of those people have any gaming to do with them at all. And they're just people who I found entertaining or interesting at some point, and I would like to come on and have on the show. You know, and some of those people like there's a 0% chance of having them on. But my thought is put together a wish list, reach out, do as much as you can to get them on, and all they can do is say no, right? So that's kind of the thought process. But yeah, that's what I do at night. As I like scroll through Netflix, and I try to find shows that are like that I watched as a teenager or a kid, and I'm like, oh yeah. And I was like, oh, the Shermanator, hell yeah! Like, you know what the Shermanator does now? He waits tables. Like he works at a sushi restaurant, right?
I follow him on Instagram.
Right. It's funny, right? You're one of like there's I think he has like 10,000 followers, right?
Oh, he's a legend. Yeah,
right, dude. It's the Shermanator, right? So why would you not want to talk to the Shermanator? So like that's a dude that I would love to talk to, and that has nothing to do with gaming, you know. And I don't know anything about his politics, and why do I really care? You know, for all we know, Poopies from Jackass may be a raging racist. Who knows?
I get that, Craig. But her it isn't even like deep stuff. Her homophobia stuff, you could find it in like.
So should I not talk to people like that, or should I only talk to people?
No, let's just clear it up. First of all, I'm Rich's editor, so nice to meet you.
What's up, Rich's editor? What's your name? I'm sorry.
Jay.
Sorry. What's up, Jay? How are you, man?
Good. How you doing, man?
Good.
So basically what has happened is we were watching your interview with her.
Well, not an interview.
Oh, sorry. Okay, let's. Well, you said gaming has a mental health problem, which
that's a pretty poignant title.
So
yeah, you said common sense takes.
So okay, the mental health thing that had everything to do with the thumbnail of today's episode and the insanity of it had to do with the article about Breath of the Wild, and just how insane the article of Breath of the Wild was that the game would be better without combat, right? And I realized that there's a much deeper thought process behind gaming of mental health issues. Because listen, we all know there's a lot of people with some serious mental health issues in the gaming space. We all know that, right? I think anybody who denies that is just not looking or hasn't been around, right?
With you on that,
right?
Yeah.
And I think that we can definitely dive into that deeper, but today was not like the idea of diving into that deep. But please continue.
No, totally. So what happened was we were watching your video with her, and some of the chat was like, "Isn't Melonie Mac like gay, all that stuff?" So we're like, "Well, why is she on Craig's show?" And I said, "Well, I don't know." And then there were some things you said, which I can't recall exactly what you said at the beginning there, but the bottom line is we just said, well, Craig, why don't we just ask him directly so the audience over here would want to know the answer to. And again, this has nothing to do with anything except the video you put up today.
Sure.
With the Melonie Mac. And the real question came down to is, yes, Melonie Mac has said fucking terrible things about certain communities. And then you were saying in that video that what was the exact same thing that he said that made us say, hey, well, we'll just get him on the show so you can clear that up.
And real quick, I genuinely appreciate you like reaching out personally, because there's a lot of people who wouldn't do that because they would make assumptions, and I think that is phenomenal. So bravo to you guys.
Well, thank you. I mean, that's why we were like, well, Craig. Yeah. I kind of know him through friends. I think I've talked to you once.
Common sense was the said.
It was just like common sense. And I said, even before you got here, if you want to rewatch it, anybody wants to rewatch this, I said, I have nothing. I don't know Craig. Even if let's say Craig comes on and he agrees with her, I'm still not going to hate the guy or anything like that. But I'm saying, why don't we just bring him on and just clear it up instantly? Like, why is Melonie Mac on the show is what people wanted to know based on what she has said before. And again, I'm not like a cancel culture person. I don't think she should be
us versus them. Yeah. Us versus them.
Yeah. It shouldn't be that she should be canceled for saying that. Freedom of speech, say whatever you want. But you said, what was it, Rich? Just so we can clear it up.
We'll go back a few minutes here. I'm just curious on your take.
And so, before when and it's funny, the timing.
Can he hear that?
When I first
can you hear this, Craig?
Yeah, I can hear.
got into the gaming industry and stuff, I remember people telling me like, okay, you gotta like dial it back on the expressing your faith type thing, because people don't like that. You're gonna miss out on jobs and this and that and the other. And I remember it really bothered me at the time. And but I do remember I did have people even back then who didn't like me just purely based on the fact that I was a Christian. The game,
like, who is attacking anyone for Christianity?
I don't know. I mean, that's a good question, and these are questions that I think in an interview setting that you could ask, and it's up to her to answer those questions, right? So, but I think people have been attacked for a lot less online. People get attacked for a lot less every day online, you know, let alone their faith, let alone their skin color, let alone their sexual orientation, or if they're gay, straight, white, black, whatever. Like, people get attacked for far less. And in a world where there are literally wars that have never stopped for thousands of years over religion, I don't think that's that crazy to say.
It is, but why is it that she's allowed to disavow communities and go after them? What's the, you know, but it's not okay, and no one even is going after Christianity. You know what I mean?
I don't know. I mean, I'm not her, so I don't know if that's true or not, right? You know, I know that you know, she's obviously you know, has strong faith, and I think that if you, whether you're Christian, Jewish, Muslim, whatever, if you have that strong a faith and you want to include it in your content, and that is a hallmark of your content, you know, you're either going to either really resonate with people, or you're really going to ostracize people. And that's kind of the danger of it, right? But she obviously feels very strong about it. And for some people that, you know, maybe her faith, she doesn't believe in gay marriage, right? And maybe that's just part of her faith, right? There are many faiths who believe that. Now, I know that you know, you may laugh at that, right? But and that may not be the way that we think in the United States, right? Legally, morally, whatever, right? But I think, you know, ask, you know, well, why is Melonie Mac on our show? You know, I would say,
I'm
like,
not attacking you for her being on the show.
I understand that.
I'm not attacking you at all. Like, no, I'm, you know.
No, I'm not taking it like that at all, Rich. I'm not taking it at all. No, but I wanted to go back to like your initial question of like, well, why have her on, right? And you know, the response would be like, well, like I said, should I have, I don't know, Ethan Klein on, right? Or Hassan Piker, or you know, anybody else.
I don't even care about you having her on. If I worded that way, that wasn't what I meant. It was just, I'm saying the take you were saying, it was common sense takes that she was putting out there. That was what I would wanted to ask.
Yeah,
you
so
about.
let's just get to the point here. Basically, you said that what she was saying was common sense, but I don't think you know everything she has said, is what I'm assuming at this point in time.
So
based on what you've said, because if you're saying everything she says is common sense, then you're basically saying that you also think, you know, gays are terrible people. That's what we're getting to the point here is.
Sure. So when I speak of like what she was saying was common sense, I believe the context was we were talking about people having the freedom to do what they wanted to do with their own bodies, people, you know, that type of thing. You know, as far as knowing everything that she said in her entire life and putting that all just a blanket statement of like, well, that's all common sense. I mean, that'd be asinine for me to do. That's idiotic for me to do, right? I don't know everything that Melonie Mac's ever said. I don't know all the things, Rich, you've said. I don't know all the things, Jason, you've said. You don't know all the things I've said. So just to make blanket statements of like, well, everything that Rich has ever said is common sense. Well, that'd be really stupid. And everything Craig has ever said is common sense. But in the context of what we were talking about, the idea like of just people should have, you know, I don't remember the exact context, but I believe that's the context we were talking about. To me, that's common sense, right? The ability for people to make their own decisions. And to be, you know, for people to make their own decisions. And like I said, I don't have the exact context, but I believe that's what we're talking about. So
yeah, so basically what happened here was that the, you know, like 900 people were watching as we watched your video, and you said essentially what you said there, and everybody in the chat was like, wait, Craig is a bad person and all this stuff, like, based on you agreeing with what she said there in that statement. So we were like, well, we can just talk to him directly.
Sure.
That's the conversation we're having now. Well, so people are not stepping away looking at you going, well, why is Melonie Mac on the show?
No.
Because,
Well, and I don't give a shit who he has. I would have Alex Jones on my show in a heartbeat. If
right.
Pissed off at it too, but I'm not gatekeeping who he. I just was curious about the questions that weren't asked. Is my point.
Yeah, and that's great, Rich. I think for me, the ultimately, it just wasn't the time or place. Like, it was meant to just be like, today was just like we're just feeling each other out. Like Melonie came on literally within seconds of the intro starting, because there was a time mix up. Usually we have people, Rich, you ask people to come on 5 to 10 minutes before the show just to kind of like do check with tech and stuff. And there was a time mix up. She came on literally as the intro was going. And the first time we spoke was actually like when I introduced her on the show, outside of just saying like, hey, we're getting started. So yeah, like I said, I met her about a decade ago. Then outside of today was like the first time we spoke. But no, I appreciate you reaching out to see, because my thought is I don't care what you believe personally. I don't care what you believe. I don't care what you think. I don't care if you lean left or right or whatever, as long as you don't tell me how I should feel. And that's, or you don't mess with kids. Like, those are like my 2 lines in the sand. You don't tell me how I should live, and I'm not going to tell you should live, and don't mess with kids. Like, those are like my 2 lines. I would like to have Melonie back on, and we can talk about those things. We can dig. That's the idea of being able to dig a little deeper and talk about the questions that you have, because I think those are like relevant questions, and I have no problem asking those questions. And I think
it'd be interesting to see what her response is to those questions.
Right.
That's what because like, it was just curious that, like, the stuff with her was like surface level things. She pushes that big on her Melonie Mac Go Boom channel, and you find it out. And the thing is, I just was interested to see the questions asked, and I didn't see those questions there.
Yeah. Well, so when we got to Melonie, I remember looking at we were about an hour into the show. We'd been talking about stuff and, just like gaming news and stuff. And you asked like why she was on the show. I'm fascinated that she eats butter. Her carnivore diet. I'm pretty fascinated by that, because I just can't get around the idea of like eating a stick of butter for fun. So I wanted to talk about that, and I want to talk about the carnivore thing, because I'm fascinated by that diet as a whole, and just that lifestyle. But she's obviously, I think she's a pretty interesting person. I think she's a really fascinating person, and just like I think you're fascinating, Rich. I think there's a lot of I think legitimately, I think everybody there's a really unique story that everybody can tell. And this is kind of like why I like cemeteries so much. I think that cemeteries are really interesting because all these people had a story, right? And whether they had it told or not. And whether it's like Melonie Mac or Spirit Buddy in the chat, I'm like just naming a random person off in the chat. I think I think it's fun to tell those people's stories, or at least have them talk about their stories. But the idea of like, am I a bad person? Well, like I said, I've been online for 17 years, 17 and a half years now. I have been, we've all said and done things over the past 17 years that are stupid. Some things that are awesome.
Absolutely.
Right? And I'm sure someone will dig something and be like, Craig said this. And I was like, yeah, so what? I did it. And you know what? We live and we learn. And I was 25 when I said it,
which, yeah, people say that to me too. Well, you're still an adult, but yeah, you're a fucking idiot adult. 25,
25, you're a
moron.
Imbecile. Right. But, as far as having any hatred towards anybody, I have no hatred towards anybody. Like, Travis is gay. Like, Travis, our producer on the show, is gay. He's very open about it. I think that I've always surrounded myself with whoever does the best job for what we're looking for. That's, I've never looked to check boxes in any company that I've ever had. I've only looked for the best people. And some people may have issues with that. And if they do, I don't care.
Well, here's an interesting idea. if you have Melonie back on one side of the fence, and you can have Rich on at the same time, just like you had, you know, Keemstar come on with DSP
Sure.
to try to squash things. You should see if Melonie Mac wants to have a conversation on your show with Rich, and they can talk about everything that's going on.
I would totally be open to that, and I would
be too.
And I'll ask Melonie. I think that it would, the best way to do that would probably be in a similar structure, the way that the DSP thing happened. Now, with Keemstar and DSP, that was like totally organic, right? It just kind of happened, and that was not planned. But it happened, and what's the irony of all that is that it never would have happened unless Phil's internet drops, because that's when we had an opportunity to bring a Keemstar who was like, "Hey, I want to come on and talk to him," but DSP was adamant about not talking to Keem. But by DSP's internet dropping, it allowed us to bring in Keem and allowed us to kind of build that bridge. That's the phrase I said. But I think having an opportunity to talk to Melonie one-on-one, and then maybe later potentially bring you in and get this other perspective, I think that'd be good to have. And I think I'm a big believer in conversation. You know, people are going to say
what she doesn't want to have a conversation about this stuff. It isn't that, dude. You could have Satan himself on your show. I would have Satan on my fucking show. But the stuff that she says is like hateful, and it's surface level stuff that you could find out in like 2 minutes. Yes, it was, you had me on the show and it wasn't an interview, but you still asked questions. You asked questions about like my history and the cucumber and the $200 and you know, like what's going on with Jeremy and other stuff. Like, it wasn't that you had to like dig in, but that's stuff that you could see right on her Twitter feed essentially now. And if you go to Melonie Mac, go boom, I would have her on the show. I think it would be fascinating. I'm just like, I'm saying, it was like with your common sense comment and the surface level stuff you could find out in a couple minutes. I was curious that you didn't bring it up, and I was wondering why. That is the key to what I'm saying. Gatekeeping people on the show? Hell no. I would have the Antichrist on my show to find out questions from them. But, you know, I was just curious as to why the questions weren't asked, and yeah, I wanted to know from you.
No, I think that's fine. I think that it just kind of a time and place. You said, you know, the cucumber thing, like that was brought up by somebody else. The you know, generally with side scrollers, the first time someone's on, it's pretty low hanging fruit, right? It's just kind of like whatever is happening in their life at that time, you know? And, you know, obviously with you, the you know, Jeremy fight was top of mind coming off of the Boogie Wings thing. And just, you know, talking about high level career stuff. But like I said, I would love to do a deeper interview with you, Rich, as well, and dig in a little deeper, spend a couple hours.
You are allowed to ask me anything that you want. Nothing is off the table with me, I assure. And I'm not, God, I sound like seductive and creepy, but I'm serious though. Like, you can fucking, if you found it out, be like, Rich, this conspiracy's about Rich. Did you have gastric bypass surgery? Whatever you want to, Rich, I heard you had a penis implant. You are welcome to ask it. So because I think the transparency, to a degree, I mean, obviously things about my kids and stuff, but you wouldn't ask that anyway. But like, transparency is where ethics comes from. I guess
agreed.
You could say.
Agreed.
So, you know, that's what I just want to put it out there that if you have me on the show again, nothing is off the table. And I love that. That's the way it should be.
And I think that's exactly how it should be, right? I see, like, somebody in the chat was saying that, like, I am avoiding the question. I don't really know what question I'm avoiding. But
well, yeah, he's here right now. If there's a question, he's going to answer it. So
yeah, answer it.
Ask in the chat, and we'll ask it to him.
Please, yeah, absolutely, fire away. I mean, like, I don't really know.
You guys can answer the question while I go piss real quick because I desperately have to.
For sure. Are you, hey, Jason, is Rich high?
Oh fuck.
I said Rich is probably high as fuck, so we'll see. Yeah, but
yeah, he's well, no, stressful time in his life.
I hear you, man. I don't envy anything that he's going through right now. That's...
Dude, you know what's funny? We'll have this chat super quick, but I think you and I had talked like fucking 50, I don't know how many years ago, like 2010.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I had a YouTube show called 3 Kilobytes.
That sounds really familiar for some reason.
You probably do remember it from like fucking 6 years ago. At the time we were pretty big. You know, the chat's making fun of me because they're saying I know everybody, but I essentially know all of your friends from back in the day, from like Screw Attack and Angry Video Game Nerd. I just think that you and I never talked for some odd reason, but yeah, I'm friends with all those guys. You know, like, I don't know who you still talk to from back in the day, but I'm talking about like the old school, you know, AVGN crew, and then you know, like Game Straight 81, Pat the NES Punk, Game Chasers, you know, like that sort of retro crew back in the
old
day.
School. Yeah. So let's see. So James and I are still buddies. We text all the time. We talk mostly about our kids. And I have Gamester. You know, I don't think we probably crossed paths a couple times. Pat, I haven't spoke to in probably over a decade.
What a shame.
Pat. Pat.
You're missing out, Craig.
Yeah.
God.
You know, Pat's another guy I would love to have on. I would love to have
good
on.
luck.
Please do. Please have him on.
Yeah.
He's a man.
There's no shot you get him on there.
No,
if you got Pat on, I'd watch that instantly.
I would fuel you with so many delicious questions.
I will say this. I also, you know, I know one of Pat's biggest rivals is Tommy Tallarico, and I would love to have Tommy on as well, and kind of go over all the Amico stuff. So
call the FBI and see if you could find him.
Dude, you want to have a fun little fact? Did I ever tell you this one, Craig? That Tommy, towards the end, Tommy Tallarico of all fucking people, left me a DM on Facebook that you are something along the lines of you're a fucked up person, you need help.
Yeah, Tommy, I've also known Tommy for fucking at least how many years? 13, 14 years, because he used to be on a Canadian show with Victor Lucas. And I grew up watching that. That's why I started my own YouTube show in 2009. I got to know Victor Lucas, worked with him a bunch, and just like Tommy's ego has always been there from day one.
Right.
Out through the roof.
Jared Hughes is right. He told me to find a therapist. That's right. Tommy Tallarico told me I need one. I'm fucked up in the head. Thank you. He told me to find a therapist.
Aren't we all a little fucked up in the head? You know, aren't we all just
I'm an absolute train wreck. I'll be the first to admit it. Craig, I'm sorry to waste your time. I was curious about questions. Listen. I would not gatekeep having. You could interview whatever I want you to interview whatever the fuck you want to interview. I was curious about questions that weren't asked, and yes, I am not a person that holds my tongue, and I wanted to talk to you about it.
Yeah, because there was people in the chat that said those things, and I thought, well, I'm kind of asking that too. Like, I don't know. It's just, why would Craig have her on the show after she said such terrible things? So we're like, maybe he doesn't know. Maybe he does know. There was either two things.
I wanted her still on the show. That's not you don't word it like I wanted her still in the fucking show.
No, totally. Mm-hmm. Totally. It's not about you stopping people from coming on your show. We were just like, we don't know how he feels about it because they didn't even get into any of that. And I thought, well, why is she on? What is going on here? It seems weird.
So I see in your, and by the way, like I said, I genuinely appreciate you guys. I said this a minute ago. I genuinely appreciate you guys reaching out because most people wouldn't, and they would just assume. And that's, I see.
You can't do that. You can't do that.
Well, Jay, I see your tweet says, message Rich, he's a man. We're all men, right? That's what men do. Men talk to each other. Men have conversations. Adults have conversations. And that is something that is sorely lacking on the internet today. Let me say this. Cinema Akari in the chat says, I think that all people are waiting to hear if Craig doesn't hate gay people. If he doesn't hate gay people and didn't know that person said they do, I think that wraps it up. I don't hate gay people. In fact, I employ gay people. I don't care who you sleep with. I don't care.
I never even heard you say anything remotely close like that. Melonie Mac's a different story, but Right. I've never heard you say anything like that, as far as I know, but I haven't seen it.
Yeah, there was no discussion about you hating gay people directly.
Yeah, never, ever.
There was the question in Melonie Mac hates gay people, And
then you get into the association thing where it's like, well,
some people were like, well, wait a minute. And instead of us going like, well, yeah, it's either this or blah, 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 we just said, just call him and bring him in. And that's the end of that. And
like I said, I think it's great. I appreciate it. I really do. I appreciate it. Well, right, while I'm here, let me just say thank you guys. And I hope that everybody wants to come watch our show Sunday through Thursday, or I'm sorry, Monday through Friday.
Yeah, plug
11 a.m. Central Time. Come on over.
Do it, please.
Subscribe to the Side Scrollers podcast channel. We got some great things coming up. We got a lot of great guests. On Thursday, we will have Quarter Black Garrett on. Do you know who Quarter Black Garrett is?
No.
You should. You know what? You'll find this person intriguing. Quarter Black Garrett, former producer for Louder with Crowder.
Oh, I will be there.
And,
I want to see that.
And now he works for Gary at Nerdrotics, and he's kind of shifted into the gaming space and the nerd space. And then on Friday, we have Shagsworth, and we got a lot of great people coming up, man. We try to have a new guest on every day, as many as we possibly can. And it's been great for the show. It's every day's fun. It's a great way to fill your middle of your day. So if anybody wants to come over and hang out with us for an hour or so, you're more than welcome. So,
and listen, man, tell Melonie Mac, or if you have the quartering, I've invited them on the show. That's why I'm saying I wouldn't gatekeep anybody. If they want, I would love to be there. I will have a civil discussion with them, but I will have plenty of questions ready. The invite is open.
I will say this. I invited Jeremy on our show based off of you being on the show. I said, hey, Rich was just on. You got the boxing match coming up. You want to come on? He simply said no. I said, okay. Any idea why? He says, I don't do shows. And I said, all right. And
lies. He's interviewing people all the time on live streams.
Well,
lies.
He doesn't do anyone else's show, apparently. So, but I don't know. I would love to have Jeremy on. I think Jeremy is a great dude that I could spend about 3 hours talking with. And, like I said, I don't want these to be, when I talk with folks, I don't want these to be interrogations. I
wouldn't make it interrogation style. I would make it a conversation. Jeremy, I will pay you $1,000 via PayPal to be on a Side Scrollers podcast with you.
No, it'd be great to have on the show is Keemstar, Rich, and Jeremy all together, man. That's a stream.
Listen, I would love to make that happen.
You got to make that happen. Yeah,
legitimately.
You should really try.
Rich, are you in?
I'm in. I would totally do that.
I know Keem's in. So it really comes down to Jeremy. And I think that if I go to Keem and say I got Rich in, let's get all three of everybody on. That'd be great. Now he'd probably want to do it a little closer to the fight, just to build hype. I'm positive he would, just from a promotional side.
If the fight still happens, because what Keemstar was like, can you do July 8th? I was like, no.
Hey, I will say this, Rich. I'll say this. If he mentioned this when I had him on, I had Keem on last week, and he mentioned that he'd like to have the fight in the United States potentially, and I think
why he wanted it on July 8th. Yes.
Right. If you do it in July, if you do it in the United States, I'm gonna push. He said I may be the ring announcer for that, and I would love to be the ring announcer.
I would push for you to do that because your voice is excellent for that.
I would love to do that, but listen, I know that July 8th would be a tough go for you, but you got to remember it's also a tough go for him too. But I think you can do it, man. Like that's 6 weeks from now, 7 weeks, 8 weeks.
Listen, Craig, who's winning the fight? Let's get it out.
Be honest.
Let's
be
go.
honest.
Yeah. If I'm being very honest, Jeremy has about 6 inches on you, and he probably has more reach on you. And if you learn how to box, then I think you have an opportunity, Rich. But if you go in and you go like Boogie, you're gonna get your shit kicked in.
No, I'm gonna get my shit pushed in. Absolutely.
Yeah, absolutely. But if you go in with your hands up and you stay tight and work his body and you remove his length from the equation, man, I think you have just as good an opportunity as anybody else. Go for the ribs, man. Take his wind.
Want to learn peekaboo too, if you know what that is. But anyway,
peekaboo. Yeah, yep. Absolutely.
I think peekaboo would be the right technique with him.
Craig is saying that you're going to get annihilated unless you block.
Pretty much.
Unless he gets in and plays the body. Yeah, I think that if you let him stand back and punch, you will get your shit kicked in. You will probably fall down once or twice. But I don't want that to happen, Rich. I want you to get in and bruise his ribs.
Dude, honesty is what's necessary. Thank you for coming on. And like I said, you and Adam can put me to task any day of the week, and I know Blabs would too. And that's why I'm saying, that's what I think we all should do. Have a good night, man. And
thank you guys.
Nice to talk to you, man.
Yeah, it was good talking to you. Go get some rest.
Jason, I got you on I hit you up on Twitter. I got you followed. You can DM me anytime, buddy.
All right, I definitely will. Shoot the shit over olden days.
For sure. We got more good days ahead of us. All right. You guys have a good night. Chat, thank you very much for your questions and concerns. And you guys are doing this right. Go straight to the source. That's the best way to do it. You guys have a good night. See you guys later.
Have a good night.
All right, man.
All right, bye-bye.
Who Wireless now has internet. Come on, man. Come on down and get wireless. We got all the internet you need, man. Look, this is Jose right here. He's about to say, I love Hoot Wireless internet. It's the best internet ever. YouTube. Hoot Wireless.